Just before I head out today, I thought I'd give you a bit of a walk around of my Jeep. This is my adventure car. This is how I get out to the beautiful forest areas and bushland of mid New South Wales. So this is a 2000 WJ Jeep Grand Cherokee with the 4.7 V8. I'm not quite sure what happened. I'm not sure quite why I bought this. So originally I was looking to add a bit of adventure to my pastimes, my hobbies, and originally I was looking at postie bikes, getting a Honda C10 or C110, C90, the bikes that Australian Post use, and around the world they've gathered quite a following. They're a tough little bike that has also low range and can be taken on trails. Anyway, I started watching this site called Biker Bits in Australia, and Mark Victor was fixing up a postie bike to do a postie bike challenge. So he was fixing the bike up and doing a bunch of stuff. They wanted to get two postie bikes, and so they decided to get a trailer, put the bikes on it. They needed something to tow a trailer, and they bought an XJ Jeep Cherokee from Melbourne. And at the same time I was travelling to my relative's property in Western Australia, a town called Merredin, and they had an old Toyota Land Cruiser that was on the farm, and occasionally I asked to borrow the keys and just go roaming around their huge property, going down the trails. And I'd never really done any four-wheel driving before, and it was really quite a bit of a thrill, doing a bit of adventure, getting places you couldn't normally get to with a car. So somehow one on one made three, and I got back to Sydney and decided to try and find a Jeep Cherokee. Fortunately I found this one. The owners had had it for a little while. It had developed some sort of gearbox noise problem, and they just wanted to sell it because they really didn't know much about it, and it seemed to be an expensive noise. So they wanted to sell it for about $1,000. So anyway, I went and had a look at it, and I could tell that because the noise didn't change with the gear changes, it was more something like a differential or something like that, which I had fixed in the past, not on a four-wheel drive, but maybe thought I could fix it. Anyway, I managed to bargain him down to $900 for this thing. $900. I looked in the logbook. It's had service history for 10 years. It had a quiet life living in Chatswood and had never really been off-road. It had been quite cared for, though when I got it, it had obviously, you can see it's already had a couple of marks there along the side, a nice big ding there, and a bit of a crack in the tail lens. But I looked at it and tried to work out what the problem was. The noise was in the front. I got a price for changing the front diff, and that was maybe $1,200 to $1,600, which was quite a bit, but still it would have been out in front of these cars. They were normally selling for about $4,000, maybe $5,000 in good condition in Sydney. And so I lined up to start looking at that. But then I started looking on YouTube and trying to work out what the actual noise was. And the noise was certainly in the front, but I checked the diff and the oil was clean, and there was no shavings in it. There was no powder on the diff plug, which is magnetic. So I thought maybe it's the front drive shaft, the front prop shaft, going from the transfer case to the front diff. So one technique I saw online was to actually remove the front prop shaft and drive it sort of as a two-wheel drive. So I did that. I took the front prop shaft off and the noise went away. And I could tell by looking at the front prop shaft, one end was definitely broken and worn out. These have a type of prop shaft which is a essentially not two uni joints but two CV joints, one at each end. So essentially a cup containing a whole race of ball bearings that allow flexibility. But the trouble is the one on the rear end that connects to the transfer case has like a rubber seal that's almost a cup shape and would collect anything that was coming at it as you were driving down the road. I could tell when I first got it that under the bonnet there was evidence of like beach sand. Anyway, I think what happened was that rubber cup seal had already cracked and deteriorated. They drove it on the beach for some fun. It got a gutful of beach sand and it started to grind away at the ball bearings. And as they drove it home on freeway speeds, they just killed it. So, long story short, $86 later on eBay, I got a new uni joint. I looked on YouTube on how to replace it and fix it, and a bit of my time and effort, put it back on, and bingo, no more transmission noise. So that was the main problem with this thing. Other than that, it's been really quite good. Some things I have changed on it. I put a 2-inch lift on the car, so the normal wheels were fine, but I wanted a bit more clearance if I was going to try and do a bit of trail work, and so I got what's called a budget lift, basically 4 polycarbonate kind of plastic pucks, and they sit under the main springs. So this is a spring coil suspension with solid axles either end. I put the puck lift there and that gave me another 2 inches of lift. And then I also bought these JK Wrangler rims that suit the same bolt pattern. So the rim size went from a 16 up to a 17, and I also, these tyres are a lot taller than the ones I have. These are from a Jeep JK Wrangler that someone was fixing up, and they put on their own big tyres and rims, and they have these spare, so looked on Gumtree and found this set for I think $250 for the set of 5 with a spare on the roof. So all of a sudden I had a raised Jeep. It already had the nudge bar on there. I got a cheap set of lights off eBay and put them on. I put a roof rack on the top of it and started to go and enjoy it. So inside, really nice and quite clean. I put seat covers on it just to protect it a bit and some floor mats to collect the mud, but it's really nice inside. And if we look at the tail, I've just added some cheap drawers and some other stuff in here to help me with my off-road camping. So it's, I also replaced all of the gas lift struts in the rear hatch and in also the under the bonnet, under the hood. I put a tow bar in, hitch receiver there. I wired up the plug here, which again was a bit of a trick. Managed to find the manual for maintenance online. There are actually differences in each year from the 2000, 2001, 2002, so chasing the wiring diagram was a bit of a trick. The only other thing I really had difficulty in trying to fix was it had a persistent engine light, and I found out that that was one of the O2 sensors, anti-pollution sensors on the exhaust. Was the right bank rear. And after cleaning that a few times and resetting it, the light kept coming back. So I bought one online and managed to fix it and wire it up myself, and no more engine light. So as it stands, it's in really good condition, and like I said, it allows me to take it off-road to these kind of places and give me that adventure that I wanted. Cool, thanks for watching, and sorry for the long ramble. I'm gonna get on my way and go and explore the bushland. Bye for now.